Hello, welcome to Live at Lunch. Today we are talking about everything that we know so far about Biden's bold action. If you are joining us live, thank you so much for being here. Please put any questions that you have in the comments and I will address them. May not be live because I can't see them all on the various platforms that we're streaming on, at least not live, but I will go back and address them and give whatever answers I'm able to. If you're catching us on the replay, thank you for joining us also on the replay. And again, put any questions you have in the comments and we'll try to address them as best, or we will address them as best we can, but we don't have a ton of information yet so far. So here's what's going on. Today, on June 18th, 2024, the Biden administration made an announcement of an executive action, if you will, that will benefit spouses of U.S. citizens and children of U.S. citizens and potentially DACA recipients. That's a separate aspect that we don't have a lot of information on yet so far. But the name of this program is Keeping American Families Together. The idea is that spouses and children of U.S. citizens who meet certain requirements that we'll get to in a minute can apply for permanent residence. That is, they can apply for the green card while they are here in the United States. So the process before this announcement has been that, let's say that you are a spouse of a permanent resident or a US citizen and you want to apply for permanent residence, but you maybe entered without documentation, without a visa that is, you would have to apply for what's called an I-601 waiver. That is taking years to be processed right now. And then you would have to go to the US consulate and apply for an immigrant visa there. And it's, can be risky to leave the United States in that particular situation. So this huge announcement would make it so that undocumented spouses, again, of US citizens, not green card holders, but US citizens, could apply here in the United States. The eligibility requirements, as we know so far, are as follows. The person applying has to have continuously resided in the United States for the past 10 years. They have to have been legally married to a US citizen as of June 17th, 2024, and they have to be physically present here in the United States without admission or parole. That means that they entered the United States without documentation and they also don't have parole. This announcement, it's important to keep in mind, this announcement does not affect, it does not positively or negatively impact options that are available for spouses of US citizens who maybe entered the United States with a visa and have maintained their status or have overstayed. So we have lots of clients right now where they entered the United States on a valid visa and then they overstayed, and we are in the process, or we have before applied for a green card for that person. That particular aspect is not affected by this. This is a different situation where the where the foreign national entered the United States without documentation. So again, those are the requirements. At this point, those are the requirements that we know of. There could be other nuances. So for example, we do know that any criminal issues that you have, if it would make you ineligible for a green card, this program will not necessarily waive that. In addition, there's something called the permanent bar. As far as we know, that's not going to be waived either. So there are things that you need to take a look at with the help of an immigration attorney to make sure that you are qualified. The process is not just married to a US citizen, boom, apply for a green card. Instead, the process is that you would apply for what's called parole in place. That is something that exists already, but this particular announcement is opening up that option for, again, spouses of US citizen and children of US citizens. So they would apply for parole in place, and then they would have 3 years to apply for permanent residence here in the United States. So what do we know? There are a lot of things that we don't know about this program so far. There's some things that we do know about this program so far. So what we do know is we know the requirements. So the requirements, as I listed above, again, you have to have been continuously resided in the US for at least 10 years. You have to be married to a US citizen as of June 17th, 2024, and you have to be present in the United States. So this is not for individual spouses who are overseas. Again, there's a separate process for that, and this does not apply to that. It does not negatively or positively impact that particular process. So we do know the requirements above. We know that USCIS will be announcing in the future, not today, but in the future, they will be announcing what the exact process is. So at this point, that gets into what we don't know, but we know that that information is forthcoming. USCIS and the White House say that we will be able to begin filing later this summer, but not now. Okay. This falls in between of what we do know and don't know. I really anticipate that this will be litigated. As you may know, with the DACA program, there has been a lot of litigation. It's been up in the air. It's been put on hold. It's been paused. The program has been kind of a hot mess because of litigation. I fully anticipate that this will be litigated as well. I'm not saying don't apply for it, but I am saying go into this with an open mind and with some flexibility, knowing that there will likely be litigation that may or may not impact the longevity of this program and how it's actually implemented. What we don't know about this program is the cost. We don't know what the USCIS filing fee is going to be. We don't know how or when to apply for the parole in place. We don't know what the processing times will be for the parole in place applications. And we don't know when the USCIS instructions are coming out. Hopefully they will do that sooner rather than later. Typically in situations like this, they come out within at least a few days, but we have to take a deep breath and have some patience and wait for this information to come out. So what can you do right now? There's one more aspect of this that I want to talk about, and that is kind of tacked on to the end of the White House announcement. And I'll try to remember to put the link to that in the comments of this post. But tacked on to the end of the White House announcement is information about DACA. And I'm referring to it right now because this is, of course, brand new information. So there is part of the announcement says keeping American families together, which is what I just talked about. The second part is easing the visa process for U.S. college graduates, including Dreamers. And it talks about the fact that DACA was initiated 12 years ago. I was actually in the room at the AILA conference when that was announced. It was very exciting. Anyway, it talks about how the Obama administration established DACA. And it says today's announcement will allow individuals, including DACA recipients and other Dreamers who have received a degree at an accredited U.S. institution of higher education in the United States, and that's a whole, it's defined in the regulations, and who have received an offer of employment from a U.S. employer in a field related to their degree to more quickly receive work visas. That's pretty cryptic to me as an immigration attorney. And then it goes on because we don't know exactly what it means as when they say to more quickly receive work visas. For the H-1B, for example, there is a numerical limit of the H-1Bs. There are numerical limits for the green card. So I'm not quite exactly sure what this is hinting at. And then the third paragraph of that announcement says it's in the national interest to assure individuals who are educated are able to use their skills and education to benefit our country. The administration is taking action to facilitate the employment visa process for those who have graduated from college and have a high-skilled job offer, including DACA recipients and other Dreamers. So it sounds promising. This sounds potentially amazing for both potential employers and potential current DACA recipients and similarly qualified individuals. But I really don't know what this means, to be honest. I don't know. It seems like we have more information about the family-based aspect of this at this point. So here's what you can do as of right now to prepare for this. I know this is an exciting announcement, potentially will benefit thousands. They say it could potentially benefit around 500,000 spouses of US citizens here in the United States. So it's a huge announcement and we're really excited about it. We're cautiously optimistic. Like I said, I really think this will be litigated and I don't anticipate a smooth road for this. I don't mean to be negative. I'm just trying to be a realist here. But I do think that it could benefit a lot of people here in the United States and their families, which would be amazing. So here's what you can do right now to start preparing for this whenever it is implemented later this summer. If you believe that you meet the requirements, you can start gathering documentation to show that you have continuously resided in the United States for the past 10 years. That's going to be a critical element. And that's a lot of documentation if you think about it. So what does that mean? How do you document you've been here for the past 10 years? It can be things like, and I'm not making this up, but giving suggestions based on similar types of cases. It may be that they have specific instructions in the regulations, but in general, ways that a person can show that they've been here, continuously resided, is things like tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs. If you have a lease or a mortgage and you can show that you've lived here, bank statements, if you can show employment records, medical records, school records, things like that. I'm drawing a blank now, but that type of thing can be helpful. So start gathering that type of and it can be creative. I literally I had a DACA recipient several years ago who actually used Amazon purchases to show that she was physically present in the United States. And that's probably not the strongest evidence, but it worked. We got a request for evidence and it worked. So anything that you can think of to show that you have been here, mail that you've received, bills that you've received, cell phone plans that you've had over the past 10 years, to show that you've been physically present, continuously resided in the United States for the past 10 years. If you have a criminal charge, that may or may not be an issue for this particular program. That's something that we will get into with later videos as we have more information. But as I understand it right now, if you have a criminal conviction, or it's complicated, but potentially if you have a charge and or conviction, then that could be a problem for obtaining the green card. So if you have, at this point, if you have a criminal charge, even if you were not convicted, even if you understand that the charge was expunged, even if the charge is from a different country, regardless, start gathering that documentation. The most helpful thing that we can have is a final disposition that shows how you pled, what the outcome of the case was, if you were sentenced to anything, what the fine was, things like that. So start gathering that information, because you will need that information to make sure that you qualify for this program before you apply. The other thing that I would do, of course, have your marriage certificate, and even documentation of your relationship, have that together. I'm not giving legal advice on this platform, but I really recommend that people do not pay any money for this program at this point. Do not pay consultants, notarios, lawyers, people who say that they're lawyers. We just don't have enough information at this point to know what the process is going to be, how much time it's going to take. You know, at this point, I don't even know what the legal fee will be, because we really don't know what the process is going to be yet. So it's okay if you want to make initial contact with a qualified immigration attorney, but be careful about people who are having you, pay X amount of money now and reserve your spot and sign up and all that, because we really don't know what the process is going to be, or what the filing fee is going to be, when we're going to be able to file any of that. We do expect to have more information on that in the coming days and weeks, and we certainly will keep you posted. Our office, at this point, I do plan to accept this type of case. I handle employment-based, or our office, our team handles family-based and employment-based cases. So we should be able to assist with both the family-based aspect of this and the employment-based aspect once we have more information about this DACA aspect of the announcement. So we absolutely are here. We are able to help you, and we look forward to doing that. This is a really exciting opportunity, despite the potential roadblocks that are probably going to pop up in terms of litigation. It's a really exciting opportunity. One of the best announcements that we've had in a long time, in my opinion. So we're excited to help people dive into this and get their immigration status, get their green card, and eventually citizenship. It's an amazing opportunity. But like I said, it's not going to be without challenges, and I don't expect a smooth road, especially with the election ahead. I think just in general, even if we didn't have an election coming up in November, I still think that this would potentially be a rocky path. But with the election coming up in November and a potential change in administration, it's just not going to be smooth, I don't believe. But we are here for you. We are here to support you, to help keep you educated, and to support you every step of the way. So again, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, like I said, we don't have the information yet. We will keep you updated. Those next steps are to start gathering the documentation, start gathering of your presence within the past 10 years, your marriage certificate, making sure you're married to a US citizen. Right now, or not even right now, but this announcement's very clear that it only applies to spouses of US citizens, not to spouses of permanent residents. So that's something to keep in mind. But start gathering that documentation. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to say is be careful who you work with, okay? This type of filing is something that immigration attorneys can help you with, but there are other people in communities who are not immigration attorneys. So they are not licensed to practice law. They have not been, vetted to be able to practice law and to give legal advice. There are people out there who will take thousands of dollars and either, maybe they'll do it correctly and, that's what you hope for. But there are also people, consultants, notarios out there who will take your money and either do it incorrectly or take your money and run, and they're not governed by the bar, which licensed attorneys are. So it's hard to deal with that type of situation and to have repercussions for those people. So I would encourage you, if you are looking for help, which I encourage you to do, if you're looking for help with this process, make sure that you're working not only with a licensed attorney, but with a qualified immigration attorney. I imagine that there will be licensed attorneys out there who will pop up and say, yes, I can help you with this, see this as an opportunity to make some additional revenue, and that's fine. But you want to make sure that you're working with someone who has an intricate, deep knowledge of immigration law, because there are so many pitfalls that you could fall into here and then have negative outcomes, including having it denied or potentially be put into removal proceedings. So make sure you're working with a licensed attorney and somebody who has lots of immigration experience. Again, we are here to help you. I don't think this will be as easy path, but we're cautiously optimistic about this. We're really excited for this announcement. And like I said, we are here to help you. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend. Make sure that you are subscribed to the platform, to our channel on the platform that you're watching this on, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. And we'll reshare on Instagram as well. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We assist clients throughout the United States and from around the world with employment-based and family-based immigration matters, and we would love for you to be our next client. Until next time, I'm Emily Sumner.